Huge changes are coming to Squad Busters, including nerfing the Rage and Super Rage spells, which I literally called for at least a month ago. I am so hyped for these changes. The update lands on Wednesday, and it's got a ton of information. Use the timestamps in the description. You can jump to whatever part of these patch notes that you're interested in, and I'll have some gameplay in the background. Let's start with the conclusion to remove megas, rerolls, and consumables. As I covered in my other video, this is a fat W for Squad Busters. Let's get rid of these pay-to-win consumable mechanics because they're really, in my opinion, toxic for the health of the game. The developer said, after the update, players with any of these items will receive skins and coins instead when opening the game for the first time. Some features, such as lucky finds and the ability to refresh a chest, will remain but are tweaked. And we know that refreshes now, the reroll token, can be done 3 times huge. The developer said why, after closely assessing battle consumables, we found there wasn't a balance for megas that would be satisfying and impactful for players. True. In addition, key and rerolls showed a very low usage rate. This to me is somewhat surprising that they weren't integrated into the game experience. I would just say, like I said in my other video, if you use them, you're a cheater. If you lose to them, you lost to cheaters. And it just makes a huge asterisk on every win and loss in every game you have, which is just a bad game experience. The team is committed to making sure that Squad Busters gameplay is always improving. This means changing things that don't work and moving forward with things that do. Very, very cool. So what's happening to the megas? They're going to be converted into equipable character skins, which is a huge win. All players who have unlocked megas will get those skins for free. Or maybe if you just have them unlocked, maybe you don't need to have any tokens left. Okay, maybe you'll be okay. And players will receive 1,000 coins for every unused mega. So if you've been playing diligently with your mega bank, congratulations, you will get a lot of coins. But buying megas costs 5,000 per mega. So hopefully you've not been buying those in the shop because you get kind of wrecked here. So what happens to removed keys and rerolls? Players will also receive coins for unused keys and reroll consumables. And I believe it is equivalent to what it would have cost you. So normal keys are 500. You buy them 3 at a time for 1,500. Epic keys are 800. I believe you buy them 3 at a time for 2,400. Fusion keys are 1,500. You buy them 3 at a time for 4,500. Rerolls, 300 coins is what you're going to get back. You buy them 3 at a time for 900. So you actually get a 1-for-1 exchange on those, I believe, which is pretty nice. What does this mean for the gameplay? Well, the battle bag is removed, which is huge. It's awkward to take your hand off of turbo and do literally anything else. And instead of rerolls, chests have a refresh button that can refresh a chest content up to 3 times per battle. I don't know if you can refresh the same chest 3 times, but that would actually be better. Like if you need a hog now, reroll, did I get the hog? No. Reroll, did I get the hog? No. Reroll, finally get the hog, right? Hog Rider basically changes everything. That would be pretty legit. It could be you can still only refresh each chest only 1 time. I'm not sure. And the Lucky Find comeback mechanic is staying, but gives a fusion unit in your lineup instead of a mega and can happen more often, which I don't know how I feel. You're definitely going to snap off that when you're offered it though. Do you just take that fusion unit, which we'll see how that feels for the game balance. And on the topic of balance changes, battles are best when you have options. So the big theme for this balancing is increased battle fluidity. This means big increases to turbo and more ability to react to challenging battle situations. This also means fewer harsh and slogging beatdowns that have the opportunity for tactical turnaround. Yeah, so once you start to fail an encounter, often it turns into a snowball where you're just dead. Not only for the rest of the match, but in that fight, you are just cooked with no option to recover. So here are the turbo and other gameplay changes. Turbo will recharge faster with less delay to make passive moments more regenerative, which is huge. It might diminish the value of speedsters, which I think is okay. They are too valuable, especially chicken's great, but should I really need more than 1 used chicken? Blue boxes contain 1 additional turbo boot, which also makes chicken and speedsters way less necessary, so you can stock up on turbo early. Squads instantly recharge some turbo when losing a character that came from a chest to allow more tactical options as a squad fight escalates, which is huge. When they say losing a character that came from a chest, I assume they mean not Nita's bear, but Nita herself. If you lost her, then you would get a little bit of turbo. Regular gem mines now drop substantially more gems to increase their relevance and reward, and the rage and super rage spells have a shorter duration and less effect. Once I know exactly what those are, I'll certainly be sharing it to bring them more in line with the balance of all those spells. I think it was immediately obvious to like anyone who plays the game with regularity that the power level of those spells is a cut above everything else. And I was suggesting that the power level should be reduced on those, but that the duration was fine. And it looks like they are cutting both the power level and the duration, which I also think is perfectly fine. Freeze and other spells that have minor sources of damage will no longer cause monsters to drop loot on hit, such as loot goblins, for example. And loot goblins, this was huge, right? You get the Ice Wizard, you drop the freeze spell right when the goblins all spawn in, and you become like a coin millionaire, right? And that's because any source of damage would make them drop loot, and that will no longer be the case. So I think that will be good for the health of those battle mods. And then characters and monsters are getting rebalanced. So all characters have substantially improved health when they are not fused to make them less vulnerable and less quick to lose. This is huge. It's an ambush meta. It's a speed meta. And I think this is changing a little bit where maybe you can more safely take some of that backline DPS, and backline DPS will be more valuable because you need more DPS to chew through enemy units. So this is a huge buff to units like B in the backline, Colt, etc. Huge buff to all your vulnerable, poppable backline units. And I think that is probably a net positive. The only thing I will say is the devs are probably trying to avoid the situation where like fights just last forever. And I don't think we'll be there. So I think this is good. The fusion health buff has been reduced to keep fusion health roughly similar to before. So what they're doing here is they're basically saying fusion health was a percentage, I guess, of the original health. So they're keeping the fused units' health the same, but when they're unfused, they're all more healthy, which is good. Rare and epic fusions have slightly reduced damage scaling to make it consistent with commons and easier to balance. So I have mentioned this in the past, but like you notice, rares and epics generally have more DPS, and a slight damage reduction there probably is still fine. Like rares and epics are still very powerful. What are we talking about? Now on to specific units. Chicken's hatchlings no longer lose health over time since they're already so easy to lose, which is a huge win. Chicken, I think, benefits a lot from that buff. Hog Rider Classic and Super Turbo buffs have been reduced to balance with all the other turbo changes, largely because you're getting so much turbo. And most of the reduction only applies when stacking multiple Hog Riders. So probably just one fused Hog Rider and you're done with that thing. B's B damage is increased, which is insane, but it keeps up with the fact that everything's health is now higher. Nita now stands in the back of the squad to protect herself better as a ranged unit, which is awesome, and her bear respawns faster, and the Ultra Nita bear respawns even faster. Mavis's character patches also give less loot when destroyed by bomb spells, to be consistent with Greg Tree's also giving less loot, which like, hey, I made as one of my very first videos, the fact that you could go and do that and it was so valuable. Hopefully you've been enjoying it because that's going away. Ice Wizard attacks has been rebalanced, and I would argue it has been majorly buffed. The Ice Fan does less damage to the first target, but more damage to the targets behind to emphasize the penetration, and like, that is disgusting. Ice Wizard was already disgusting. He is an amazing closing unit, and he just gets even better. The Yeti Mite loot is improved, making them more worth busting. I think that's the little Yeti-lings that spawn after you kill the bigger Yeti, question mark. The mech attack trigger range has been reduced to make it a more effective monster pet, which is fine. And there are also battle mod changes. There's a ton of great stuff in here. First and foremost, the Super Gem Mine drops gems more often, but drops many more gems from time to time. Huge. So it emphasizes the role of being in the middle for the Super Gem Mine. Pinata Party has blue boxes now. It did not before, guaranteeing some turbo, which is nice. Not just some turbo, but 2 turbo boots as a part of the buff here to blue boxes. Some mods that greatly change chest opening are now less likely to appear, which is a huge win. Angry Vines, you'll see less of it. I'm mid on that. I feel like Angry Vines is a fine mod. I don't mind seeing it. But Doppelgangers, 11 out of 10. So glad to not see that so much. The problem with these game mods that greatly change chest opening mechanics is that you either love them or hate them. I hate Doppelgangers. It's not a mode I particularly like. It's so deeply tremendously different from regular gameplay. That again, it's like polarizing, love it or hate it, and I'm on the hate it camp. Epic Overload is actually one that I enjoy, so I'm a little bit sad to see less of that one. And Double Trouble is my favorite game mod, so I'm definitely sad to see less of that. And One Coin Chess, I am neutral on that. I think it's fine to not see as much of it. But those game mods dramatically change the core game experience. And basically, the way I would describe this is that you like queue up for a match, you want to play regular Squad Busters, and you end up in like Squad Busters weird mode. And that's what these things are. But I think Doppelgangers and One Coin Chess are the weirdest. And I think Angry Vines and Double Trouble are the most likely to have a normal game experience, but amplified in some way. Angry Vines amplifies the combat with other players. Double Trouble amplifies the velocity of the match. Epic Overload is, I think, in the middle of all of these. We got Doppelgangers and One Coin on the one side, Angry Vines and Double Trouble on the other for like, this is the most like a normal game, but amplified. Those are like deeply different with the Doppelgangers. And Epic Overload sits in the middle where like you're going to get a lot of epics. So some of those I'm happy to see less of. Others I'm actually kind of sad. Now we know that some mods have been removed, Mega Start and Baby Battle, and they're removed from the achievement book. I assume you don't lose the achievement stuff you've already earned, but last chance to get achievement portal energy for those, I suppose, right? Other improvements and fixes. They improved the chess multipliers, and they're replacing chess doublers. So a chess multiplier comes in the form of 2x, 3x, or 4x varieties. They're consumed per battle, and you can see the queue of them. I watched Full Frontage's video to kind of see what was there. And by the way, my, I suppose, mistake in publishing this video today was I wanted to see what actual previews were available for these things, and there really weren't that many. Full Frontage always covers that stuff, my homie. And so I was going to like react to his footage. And then I looked, I was like, oh, there's like almost nothing here to add in that is a reaction to something else. So GG on Chisgule. I'll probably just launch these at the same time everybody else does next go around. But these chest multipliers can be enabled or disabled. So if you've been following your chess cycle and you know when you have epics or rares, you can enable it for that. It all feels kind of like a pain in the butt to me. Like, honestly, like if it is true that you can track your chest cycle, like just tell people if this is an epic chest or a rare chest at this point and let them turn on their multiplier. Like, I don't know. That to me just feels like instead of making the player do all this work offline, just make it a seamless part of the experience, show what the next chest is going to be. The battle leaderboard on the left-hand side of the screen, which is really great to know how you're ranking, is now going to make it relative to the players that you are near, so a player above you and player below you in rank, and you can see their gems, which I think is cool, but it also was really valuable to see rank 1, 2, and 3. In replays and spectating, the contents of chests are now shown, which is huge. Maxed out characters from reward chests now always convert into portal energy instead of XP. Bro, I've got to be able to get back to Squad League. And honestly, stop taking me out of Squad League. Like, I mean this in a loving way, but like, please, for the love of all that's holy, stop reversing my progress out of Squad League. Nobody wants it. I don't want it. It's a bad feeling, my opinion. Okay. Fixed a bug that could sometimes activate the spell joystick when pressing turbo. Bro, I thought I was crazy. I kept sometimes having spells get used when I was trying to just turbo. I'm not crazy. It was a bug. I am so validated. And I deeply appreciate, by the way, that they're so transparent that they say like, we had a bug about this thing rather than just making me feel like a bozo. And then one day I'm not a bozo anymore. You know, like that's awesome. Good. Great. And training room spawns more variety of stuff. Cool. I think all of this is huge. If you're hyped about this update, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Simply nerfing the Rage and Super Rage spell is a huge W for the game. And overall, I would say this update is an 11 out of 10 for Squad Busters. In my opinion, if the game had launched in this state of balance, it would be wildly more popular than it is currently. So I'm hoping that the developers can pull back players that saw the game, experienced some of this stuff that they found frustrating and left, and get them back in. Particularly the pay-to-win consumables. I think a lot of people just looked at the game, saw the consumables, and they were like, nope, no thank you, not competitive. And I get it. Like, yes, I am very happy for these changes. And I was using the consumables, by the way, because to be competitive, you like at the top end, I felt like you really had to against other, like, what are we even talking about? Other players that are using these consumables. It's an advantage. Anyways, it's gone now. Thank goodness, because that whole conversation I was just trying to have, I don't ever want to have that ever again about consumables in this game. Please never put consumables into matches ever again. Oh my gosh. It's not in Clash Royale, and it doesn't need to be here, and I'm so happy it's not here anymore. Yes. If you're looking for my video showcasing some of the things and more of the visuals for what's coming into the game, check the card in the end screen right over here. This is the reaction to the developers publishing a little bit of a teaser to this that I shared in today's video here.